Welcome to the LifeLab. Today we are very honored to have our guest Mercedes Torres, who is from Mexico City, all the way from Mexico, and is a restaurateur and founder of Copala restaurant, which is in the Onyx Tower in Dubai. Mercedes, welcome to the LifeLab.
Thank you, Devon. Thank you, Emma, for this invitation. I'm honestly honored to be here with you. It's such a joy and pleasure, and also I just, in anticipation, want to congratulate you for this incredible.
You're so
project.
kind.
And,
we're excited to have
amazing.
you here.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So Mercedes, let's start with you telling us about your background, your upbringing as well, and what brought you to live in the UAE and Dubai.
Okay, sure, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Mexico City. I studied law, so I'm also a qualified lawyer. And I was doing my master's in Switzerland, and I received a very good opportunity to come to Dubai to work as a lawyer. And I said, why not? It looks like a place where I can grow professionally, and I can also contribute a lot, because it is still a developing jurisdiction like many others in the world. And so I thought this would be a place where I can find what I'm looking for. And I was with my husband studying in Switzerland, and then he joined me here in Dubai. We liked it, we stayed, and 10 years later we're still here.
10 years ago. Wow.
Yes.
So you moved over and you were working as a lawyer.
Yes, exactly.
It was a big firm, right?
It was actually I was working for the Dubai International Arbitration Center, which is part of the Dubai Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a reputable institution, and within Dubai and the world. So.
And you had a really illustrious few years working as a lawyer here. And obviously, tell us about how you ended up leaving the world of law and the corporate world to go and start a restaurant.
Well, it was, yes, I was very happy, challenging professional life. The arbitration world is a very high-level elite field within law itself, and you're exposed. The nature of it is international, so you're exposed to the best of the best in the world, solving disputes, multi-billion-dollar disputes, and the brightest minds. And so I was there in the middle of it, continued to grow, because as since I was in law school, there was a very clear path as to what were the expectations of someone studying law, where would that person end. And for me, it was that you end up being either a partner in a big firm or leading an institution, working for an international organization. And suddenly I also received a fantastic opportunity to further my career in Paris, working for also a very reputable law firm. And so I took that opportunity, went to Paris for a couple of years, and then Dubai has something that charms everyone. There's something here.
I think so, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you mentioned actually when you said you were studying and then you moved here that Dubai sounded like a place where you could find what you were looking for. Do you know what you were looking for?
I was looking for, at that point in time, it wasn't that clear. But now I can understand that Dubai offered warmth, hospitality, challenge, diversity, being able to see the world on one place, on the same place, because here you've got people coming from every corner.
Yeah.
So if you're open, you're keen, you're willing to learn, to see the world with different eyes, you have it here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the security and the
safety,
opportunity.
The opportunity, absolutely. If you work hard, if you put your mind into things and you're respectful, the sky is your limit.
I think that's really true about Dubai, because I feel like if you work really hard here, you get opportunities that maybe if it's more based on meritocracy, I think, for careers, like corporate careers and even others. But, you know, if you work really hard, I think like luck follows you. Remember Justina said that last week?
It's true.
But, and you have this special connection to Dubai. So you went to Paris and then you still felt like, I have to go back to Dubai, like, even though you were there for 2 years.
You were drawn
Yes.
back.
It was home. Dubai was home for me, and I've always been someone who adapts easily to different environments. And it was just, I missed the friends, the environment, the kindness, but also it's just not kind for the sake of being kind. It's welcoming. If you're willing to work hard, people will hold your hand, and everyone here. The difference for me, the main difference is everyone has a project, has a vision, and they're able to make it happen, to achieve that goal. To everything is put in place for you to have that support to start walking and doing things. It's so dynamic. It's so interesting.
So we run events through my job, right? Or we don't run events, but we take part in events. And more recently, we've been doing a few international events. And so when you're dealing with exhibitors or people who are building the stand, you know, when you're here, it's like, yes, okay, let's make it happen. We can do this. There, I was like, no, go to my lunch. No, like you don't get that here. Like people are just like, yes, okay, we can. Okay, it's hard, but we'll try. Or you know, you really have people have a vision. And as you said, once you have that vision, things just fall into place and you make it happen. I don't know what it is about. There's something in the water here.
There is. I mean, and I know that it's transient and some people like stay for a couple of years and leave. But I do think if you stay past a certain amount of time, it's very hard. Like even for me, if I go on holidays for 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, I'm always like, I want to go back to Dubai. It's so weird. I just like don't want to be gone that long. And sometimes people, like I was talking to someone, they were like, oh, I went to Dubai. Yeah, it's just this or it's that initial veneer. But when they get that perception of it. But if you live here and you really work here and you get build a bit of a life here.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's something energetically that like makes me always want to I don't know, it's amazing.
Cannot agree more.
So tell us then, so you went to Paris, you worked for this big firm and you were successful there, and then you wanted to come back to Dubai. Then what led you into the restaurant industry?
Well, it's interesting because
this is a big story.
Yeah, it's not something I ever thought I would be doing, to be honest. I never thought I would end up having a Mexican restaurant in Dubai.
Were you always a foodie and passionate about food?
Exactly.
Okay.
Food is my drive in life. It's just I wake up thinking, what am I going to eat today? Where am I going to go? What am I going to try? And Dubai offers us
that's true.
The best food from all over the world. And I always thought I'm a very proud Mexican, and my culture, my country, my people, and food is part of the culture, one of the most important parts of a culture. And I always thought, at least I couldn't find the food here, the food that I would have back home. Some iterations of it, more of the Tex-Mex food that one finds in the southern part of the United States, where there's a lot of Mexican immigrants, and we naturally bring our food there. But it was not exactly what I grew up eating. And I'm from Mexico City, so it's the center of Mexico. And again, Mexico is a big country, and you have all different types of food depending on where you're at. But I just couldn't find it. And so I always dreamt at some point to be able to contribute to something in Dubai that was me, that was part of my identity, because that's what we all bring here in one way or the other. We bring that to Dubai. This is the energy that it has. And I thought of different business ideas, and you always discuss these things with friends, but that's where things end. And after 9 years, finally the circumstances aligned, and the stars aligned rather, and we met this amazing Mexican chef, very young, very talented, and we said, okay, is what's happening? We observed and we said, it's the moment, things are happening, we can make it happen, let's go forward. And here we are 1 year after.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And it was 1 year you spent planning it, right? And then it unfolded quite quickly. It was perhaps
a couple of months that we sat down and seriously starting discussing opening a Mexican restaurant and what were the possibilities, were doing a market research, etc. And suddenly either you jump or you stay behind. Yeah. And we just kept on going and going and going. And there was a point where there was no way of looking back, because of course it's scary. It's something, it doesn't come natural to you. It's not, it's
very
the
brave.
risks, like I'm still getting my mind around it, because there's a lot of responsibilities, a lot of everything. So, and it was just, at that point, you just had to keep on walking, and that's what we're still doing, and giving our best.
So what did the timelines look like from the day you met that chef to the day you put your keys in the door and opened up the restaurant?
Okay. I'd say perhaps 6 months.
Wow,
that was
That's
fast.
unbelievably fast.
Yes.
Typical Dubai, right? Everything just happens.
True. And you don't realize. It's just like, boom, it goes. It just, the speed things happen in Dubai is something that I don't think many places in the world make things happen that quickly. Yeah. But it is the momentum, it is the energy, it is everyone has a drive that.
What was your family's reaction? Because I presume they had helped you and supported you to university and all of those things. And then
of course. So everyone was like, okay, a Mexican restaurant. So I don't really cook. So they were like, what? Who's cooking? I'm like, that's why there's a professional chef to do that, and not me. Otherwise, nobody would come. And so the natural question was, so what's happening? Are you working? Are you not working? How is it gonna be? What are you gonna do? And that was a tough decision, a very tough decision that I had to take, because you don't really realize all the work that having a restaurant entails, and the behind the scenes. So I literally had to give up my professional. Yeah. And it was not something. I was giving up with
sacrifice,
like heavy heart. Okay. No, yeah, it was because I was so interested. It was my baby. I was putting everything into it, and it was all I wanted. And so now, after a year, I'm able to dedicate again time to my legal career. And
that's interesting.
Yeah. So, because I also love that.
Yes.
It's not something that I didn't like it. That's why I left it behind and I moved to something different. I still long for it. So I opened my own law firm now.
No way. I didn't even know this. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God, Mercedes.
Yeah. Congratulations for a start. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So that's huge.
So now you've got the restaurant up and running. You're going to do your own launch your own law firm.
Exactly. And this is with my husband as well, because he's a lawyer as well. So, and this is the time for us that we've learned how we've believed in ourselves, and we've thought, okay, so we can make it on our own with our means. We have to believe in ourselves and what we're capable of doing. And we saw it with the restaurant, and something that we've never thought of. And we've got all this background with us. And so why don't we set up our own firm and be able to own our own time and what we want to do, how we want to do it, and set our own terms in life. That's and in incredible. Things. And
that's amazing.
So you've done quite a lot in a short period of time. What are some of your proudest achievements?
To be honest, it's this very moment in life where I can say I'm continuing with that profession that I studied, which is law, which is being a lawyer. I can decide what kind of deals and businesses I do, and owning a Mexican restaurant in a city like Dubai, a successful and welcome Mexican restaurant that it's just somehow, I guess, when you put your heart and your soul and your energy into something, it it happens. You never know. Everything in life changes, and it can change very quickly. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is nothing. But to be able to say now, well, it's a lot of effort, a lot of sacrifice, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't had a day off in a year. And what I mean, I haven't had a day off, I mean
you haven't had
I haven't had a day off. So if it's not one thing, it's the other. And understanding all the responsibilities that go behind this. Also because if you're not putting yourself out there and making the business happen, well, there's no money for anyone. Nothing, not even yourself, to pay salaries, to pay providers, suppliers, the rent. So it's a different mindset that you have to have when you're used to your entire life to something. Okay, I work hard and I get my salary and this, as opposed to, well,
it's all on you,
having to come up with all of these things to make it happen.
Like, speaking on that, in that theme, so obviously you overcame a lot of challenges to get to this point. I mean, and it's still, I mean, it's ongoing. I mean, that's amazing that you've now started another part of your career of what you're doing with the law firm. What were, if I ask you, like, what were some of the biggest challenges that you feel like you had in your career, and how did you overcome them? What comes to mind?
Challenge, well, originally, I'm gonna be honest, when the restaurant started and I was stopping my career, giving away my career, I grew up with this mentality that you study this, you do this for the rest of your life, and that's your path, and you stick to that path, and that's it. I had a hard time saying, my identity, because that was my identity my entire life, right? So suddenly that was not my identity anymore, and it wasn't in a field that I was really comfortable at and doing. And so that was one of my biggest challenges, doubting myself and saying, well, can I actually do this? Can I not do this? How do I go about this? And just trying to be flexible with myself when I've always been so strict and follow a path, and because that's the only thing I know how to do. So how am I going to do something else? That was one of the.
How did you do it?
Perhaps there wasn't enough time for me to ponder upon things and say, what am I doing? Why? It just, the pace things were going at, I didn't have even time to stop and think. I just kept on saying, okay, just move forward. This is something you've always wanted. This is something you've always dreamt of. And the purpose, which was being able to contribute to Dubai, this amazing city, bring some of my culture, share it with people. I said, but I understood that was a passion I had, something I was proud of, and there was a purpose for me. And so at some point, without realizing, I found myself again, and I said, it is possible, and trying to reflect on things and learn from mistakes, and trusting. Sometimes you want to trust everyone, and you want to believe the best, and that's how I've done things. Just they come to me, and this is a situation, and I believe. But sometimes you learn you have to be a little bit more cautious, and just you develop some sort of sense of how things can go, and just.
I think it's funny that the way that you're describing it to me, it's like you're kind of in the eye of a storm, right? In that whole, when you're doing things like that, sometimes if you've decided I'm going to open a restaurant, I'm going to take this huge jump in a different career, and like opening a restaurant is notoriously difficult, especially for people who don't have any experience in that industry, because it's such a difficult industry to be successul in. Of course. And then it's only
in some ways ignorance is probably bliss in that situation, because it might not have happened.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think that's one of a very important factor, because the more you know, and this is something that happened before, to be honest, with the different businesses. So you start doing a research and saying, well, okay, how do you do it? What are the difficulties, this and that? The more you know, like, oh my God, I don't know how to do any of this. Like, honestly,
it's crazy.
You give up. You're like, I'm not going to even try.
If I'm not an expert, and I think for women, and I've seen it a lot when in the legal field, I've seen colleagues of mine who I know they're incredible, smart, talented, incredible, and many times much better than some males, some other. And when I talk to them, they say, oh, no, I don't think I could take this case because this and that reason. And I can see them. I say, you are the perfect person to take on this case, to advocate. And they're like, no, but I don't have all this experience in this and that. And then I would see the other side, some male colleagues that I know they didn't have the expertise. They didn't know what they were doing. They were coming from a completely different background. And they would like, oh, of course, like any days. Yeah. Just bring it to me. I'll do it. And I'm like, and they were actually pushed like, no. Like, how do I convince this and that? And this is how I've also seen myself saying, well, I've put myself down so many times. Like, if I'm not an expert, if I'm not perfect, if I don't know how to do this,
I'm not going to try.
Why bother?
Yeah.
And so this is one of the
that's a very valuable lesson.
Exactly, that I keep them and say, well, just go ahead, just do it. Just of course there's a risk, of course there's but again, nothing in life is forever. Everything's gonna change.
I think that so many women do that. I mean, I used to do that about if I was applying for jobs, I would look at all of the prerequisites, and let's say there was like 99 or 100 things. I was like, I can do 98, but I can't do those two, so I can't apply for that job.
Yeah.
Yes. Whereas that is just
a guy would be
like, I can 70. Do one of them. I'm going for that job.
What's the worst that can happen? I'll just try.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that's really shining through though is your passion for food, and I have a friend of mine who's a French chef who said. He was asking me what your favorite food is, blah blah blah. Now he was like, it's what makes good food. It's love, like it's the love you put into the food. He's like, my favorite dish, my mum makes it's spaghetti bolognese. It's shit, but it's my favorite dish because it's made with love. It's so funny, and it's true though. So that passion that you have for food, I think that it's what helps make it taste good.
That's why everyone loves their mom's food.
Yeah, it's
because
really
it's
funny.
Made with love.
Yes,
absolutely, and it reminds you of those moments, those memories that you associate with food. And it's always, normally when you're around food, that means you're around loved people that you value, and you're having a good moment. So that's why food brings us together. It's such an important part of the culture. It's it says so much about us as humans and as a species, and that we can enjoy it in such a different way. And so food again is something that gives us joy. For most of us, it's something that gives us joy. So being able, in a way, is being able to put a smile on people's faces, sharing something that's so intimate, so close to me, my culture. It just brings me joy. And no matter it's when I'm, because at the restaurant I literally do everything. When I say everything, I mean like cleaning dishes, waiting tables, cooking, that. No, but absolutely everything. And every time when someone is interested in knowing about the dishes, the ingredients, the this and that, and they immediately say, "Are you you're somehow related to the restaurant, right? Are you the owner?" I'm like, and they immediately say, "Yeah, the passion
is there.
Yeah, the passion is there." You're like, you could go on and on and on and on. I'm like, yeah, I can't really hide it.
And just like the nourishing aspect of food as well. It's like
it's almost medicinal. Like
it is, and
absolutely.
your senses, like the sense of it, like sort of having that experience together. It is. It's wonderful if you can give that to people, and you really, that's the ethos behind the restaurant.
Right. And it's also on the other side. It's because, being in Dubai, we have the best of the world, which for sure includes the food, right? So all corners are represented here, and from all different levels, very casual, very fine dining, and this and that. And because, as you said, Jimon, it's so transient, in and out, everything's happening, everything's changing. That's such a big challenge, because we as residents, we are giving every opportunity to try new places constantly. So you could spend every day going to a new place.
For sure.
And you would never repeat a place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
right?
so true.
So we want new, we want to find out, we want to go, we want to see. And as a restaurant, how do you remain in people's minds? How do you remind them? Like the Mexican community, well, they come back, and it's something incredible because sometimes they go to Mexico for a month, they go on holiday,
And then they come
back, and the next day they arrive, they come to Copala, but the restaurant, and so it's, you were just in Mexico for a month and you didn't have enough Mexican food. How does it go? So it makes us really happy.
That's
but also,
awesome.
other than Mexicans, so how do you reach out and say, hey, don't forget about us? There's 100 new restaurants opening up, but we're still here. So it's the dynamics of the city are also very complex. They're beautiful and eye-opening, and you can have the awareness that you want to have. Everything. If you want to go to the same restaurant every single day, that's up to you. But if you want to go to a different restaurant, you can also do that.
Yeah, you could probably go to 2 new restaurants every single day of the whole year. There's so many. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
Any experience.
Is there anything you know now, today, that you wish you knew a year ago when you started this journey?
Or even at the start of your career.
Or, that's true.
What are the...
Yeah. That I wish, to be honest, I would tell myself a few years back to not to be so uptight and so strict with myself, because I would set my mind into, this is how things are done and this is a path and you cannot diverge, you cannot wait, you can, like, this is the timeline. If you don't reach there, then it's not good. And now I've seen that life has its own timings and things. Obviously you have to work and try to build your own path and try to achieve what you want to do, but also give yourself some leeway, some space to allow to see other things happening and to enjoy them, to live the moment, to live the life, and don't lose sight of these other things that make us happy, and also that allow us to grow and learn. And sad moments and hard moments are also part of life. And sometimes with myself, I was so into that one direction that I had to go to that I was missing many other things on the side. And had I continued in that path, I wouldn't have
done any of this.
Any of it at all. Like, oh no, what am I gonna do? No. I would have brought myself back into that same lane that I was going, and it's just been full of surprises, and I've met the most incredible people you can think of. If it wasn't because of the rest, I wouldn't have met them ever, and I wouldn't have seen also myself being able to do something that I wasn't really familiar with, and that I showed myself that I could. So it's been a massive learning experience for myself, and I'm just grateful with all the sacrifice that, because again, to me, this is something a dear friend of mine said. There's no success without sacrifice.
There's no success without sacrifice,
and
for sure.
But that's so relative as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, what are you willing to? Because if you want, most people who reach that, they don't look at it like a sacrifice because they just want to do it, right? So it's like people who get up and go to the gym at 4 a.m, they're happy to do that because they want to achieve. It's a sacrifice, but
they don't see it necessarily that way.
It's not a punishment. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I remember when you started the restaurant, and I remember even talking to you now, it's so different. Like the energy and the frame of mind. Obviously, when you were starting it, you were like, this is, oh, what am I going to do? But you were like, oh, I can't do this, or no, I don't know how to do that. And I was like just, we were talking about like the marketing stuff. I was like, just do it. Just like go and knock on those doors and go and
literally. And being surrounded with such incredible friends and inspiring people that without realizing that they give so much to your life, and the opportunity of being able to also hold hands and give.
But even just like about your point about thinking that when you were in your law career, like you're like, I could never go and do this, I could never open a restaurant, or but you know, and then getting to the point that when you have opened a restaurant, oh, I can't do the marketing stuff, but then you did it, you know. It's like you can't, like, you can always just give it a shot, and then you just muddle your way through, and eventually you're like, oh, I'm doing it now, and it's done.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to give one step, and then the other step starts coming on its own, and suddenly you're walking.
Yeah,
and
that's it. Exactly.
So, right. So just one step, one day
just
at a time.
Do it one day.
One day at a time. Sometimes, to be honest, it's overwhelming. I go through the to-do list, and I'm like, okay, so I'd rather not start because I'm never going to finish
I
this.
know. I get that. Right? I do that all the time. I'm like, I feel like it's like a computer screen. It's with 20 things open, and you're like, it dies because it's like, I don't know which one to do. Yeah, but then I'm just like, just do one. Just do the one thing.
The hardest part is starting, isn't it? Yeah,
it
really is. And once you're kind of in it, then you're like, oh, actually, I've done a lot.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest lessons, I think, to learn that. Just do one thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because then you'll be like, oh, I did one, I'll do another one now.
Yeah.
And then it just goes, and there's a bit of momentum.
And the momentum gets built, and you're like, okay, another one and another one, and little things. And these little things, in the end, they add up.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
So how would you personally define success?
Personally, to me, success is having achieved the objectives and the goals that I've set for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, to me, with now this hindsight, as to be flexible, observe, just a little bit go with the flow, keep on building your path. But that's success for me. So what I wanted to be, I wanted to be a lawyer. I did that. I was very happy. I started my career. I continued my career, building up, and suddenly restaurant, that idea that I had ever since I came to Dubai, and suddenly it's there. That's leading. And now looking back into, after the COVID and the lockdown and everything, also we all reflected a lot on our realities and the people we love and what our priorities are in life. So reconnecting, although I've always been able to detach from things. I'm not like, I left the family like most of us. Our families are back in some other country, etc. But also say, well, this is for me important. So my goal is to be a little bit closer to my family now as well, although they're so far. But reconnecting, rebuilding, making an effort to also try to go physically see them and to hug each other and to give ourselves some oxytocin. And so these are, for me, that's success, to be able to do what I've wanted to do, but being mindful of life and of time, because again, Obama became a president when he was 40 something, right? And all caveats included Donald Trump when he was 60 something. So there's no time frame. We all have our own time frame.
True.
I feel that is such an important lesson that people, because I feel like a lot of people just think, if I haven't done this by this stage,
it's too late for me.
It's too late for me. Yeah. And it's so not true. It's really, it's not true. And people, I do that myself. I'm like, oh, it's too late for this, too late for that. But it's not. It's really, that's who's always going on. Gary Vee, not that I'm like, I do like him. I think but he's always saying that message, like, if you're 50, if you're 60, it doesn't matter. Just do it. If you really want to do something.
Exactly.
Because, it's only you that's setting those things out, like that you can't do it, or
your own limitations. Exactly. There
you go.
So that's really important. The success is kind of having that freedom now to do. You've achieved those things that you wanted to, and have that time to, be with maybe reconnect with your family, like you're saying, because they live so far away.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And to me, though, those were the things that I said. That's what it's important to me. That's what I want to do, and that's. It's difficult because we're always comparing ourselves with other people. So unless I do that, or I'm not successful.
And then you get that, and you're looking at the next thing. You never take time to reflect on what you've actually achieved, right?
And to enjoy and to sit there and say and look back. And sometimes I have it in my life that, okay, I achieved this thing that I've worked so hard to do, and this is like being able to share it with the people you love, or it's part of it. And also making time to be with the people you want to be, where you want to be, making that time, because otherwise we just live our lives just working, looking at that, but not taking a pause, not breathing. And sure, life is short, sure, but let's just make it a little bit more enjoyable.
I think COVID has taught us that lesson.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really about the chasing or whatever. It is really about the people you love.
Yeah.
That is so true. And then that the people, who's it, Warren Buffett, that said it's the people, success is the people you love loving you back, or what was that?
It's so true.
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's really hard to manage all of that, like those concepts of the career, trying to achieve things, and then taking care of your spiritual and your mental well-being and having those connections with your family and friends. But
true,
it's amazing that now you've come through, you've done those things, and now you're kind of getting to that point where you have that time and that freedom to go and kind of do some of that as well, and spend time with those that helped you get there along the way. I'm sure your mom and dad are so proud of you.
Oh my God,
they are.
I'm sure.
And I feel, I see them and they're so loving and so proud. And on the other hand, I feel like I really haven't done that much to make them that proud. But then again, this is me putting myself down. If it's not perfect, if it's not becoming the number one restaurant in the world, it's like seriously, it's not what this is about. It's not what this is about. For me, I just want to enjoy it, and we're all different. We all have different personalities, and again, that's why your question is so relevant. What is success to you?
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. And it changes in different stages of your career. Like if you ask a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old, they're more on that path, right? Yeah. Where they're like, I have to get a certain point where you can take that time and look back. But once you've achieved a few things, and then obviously as you get older, or then it's something different then as well. And you can't. I mean, that saying is you can't put old head on new shoulders, isn't it? Like you can tell a 20-year-old as much as you want. The most important things are family, friends, or whatever. But we were all 20, right? You have to have the life experience, I think, to be able to look back and really. That's so true. Yeah. I think my mom used to say to me, the only time you know absolutely everything, that you don't need to learn anything else in your life, is like when you're 16. Because you're at that age, you're like, I know everything. Yeah.
I got this.
Nobody can tell me
no one can tell you anything.
So
then.
True. Yeah.
And then the older you get, actually the older and older you get, you're like, I absolutely
the less
know nothing. Nothing at all.
Nothing. Every day you know less, and discover the world. And
do you have any books or movies that particularly inspired you?
Yes. So it is. So one of the books that has allowed me to see the world differently was Outliers.
Okay. Malcolm Gladwell.
Exactly.
Oh, so good.
When I read that book, it allowed me to see that what a lot of people could see as success, it has so many elements and factors that play in. It's not just one thing. Of course, there's brilliant minds and incredibly skilled people, and of course, we're not taking any of that merit away. But there's also a combination of factors that play a role. And one of the examples in the book, Bill Gates. Of course, he's a brilliant mind, and he has that drive and that everything. But he was also in a situation that allowed him from a very young age to have access to I'm going to say computer, don't get mad with me, people who know about this things, but a computer that most people at that time didn't even knew existed.
Yeah. I think he was like 12 or something, and he had access to a computer lab.
Like every day, and he was able to start with that brain he had developing and further his skills and his passion and his everything. So by the time this became a thing, he had way more advantage than everyone else. And so all these little things that without realizing led him there, that we're not aware of and that we don't know of, and we say, okay, wow. So I could see myself saying, okay, it's not as if life gives everyone what they should have, and I'm just gonna sit here and wait and something will come to me.
Yeah.
No, you obviously have to work, and we're all different. We come from different backgrounds, and we have different possibilities, etc. So you follow your passion, you create your own path, but there's also other things that will come along, and this is, again, I link it back to just observe, just keep on walking, but observe, allow yourself some flexibility, because things that you wouldn't have expected could lead you into, perhaps not at that exact point where you wanted to land there, but later you'll be like, oh,
that makes sense now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of that, and understanding that yes, we imagine if the world was just full of incredible overachievers that did all of these things here and there, it would, like, that's not possible. It's just simply not possible. But we can do on our own time and circumstances the best we can, and obviously be inspired by these people and learn and everything. But
absolutely, yeah, it's not all about, I mean, like, there's, you know, nurses, doctors, there's so many people that are doing amazing things in their community and making a massive impact into, you know, even if it's a small number of people, but having a profound impact in their life. And that's also like what we're trying to, you know, to talk about here as well, is about, you know, just making, even if it's just one person, that you help one person, or you make an impact into, you know, you change one person's life. That's a massive thing, right? It's huge. Yeah, because then that person's life affects all these other people's lives, and it's all like the butterfly effect.
Literally.
But that book is amazing, Malcolm Gladwell. That had a huge impact on my life as well. There's so many good examples about that in that book.
That like, it opens your eyes. Like, wow.
Well, I think it's in that book about the example of you know, the plane crashes, about the different nationalities, about how some countries are more likely to have, I'm probably butchering this, but that had more plane crashes because they are less egalitarian. So because the
language, the communication, how
they speak to their superiors, so they would be afraid to tell.
So, like, you wouldn't question somebody above you, or like,
there was one example. I don't know which. I can't remember which country was it.
I can't remember.
I don't want to say, but the plane's engine was on fire, and the guy under the captain kept saying, "I think we need to check the engine," and the guy was just like, "No, it's fine." And literally the plane was on fire, and he
knew it, but he couldn't
tell the captain that the plane, like, it's actually on fire, like, you need to check it. And the plane crashed.
Oh my God.
And
so your cultural boundaries are almost stronger than your will to live. Like, that's crazy.
That's exactly what the point was in the book. And then they were saying, you know, other countries that are more egalitarian, like, you know, they're less afraid. They don't see it as, you know, when they're
questioning authority.
They're like, we all have our roles here. Yeah, obviously you're more senior, you're the captain, but it's my job to flag this for you. You know. And it was
very interesting.
I thought that was really interesting about, you know, how you work with different people as well, and even obviously working here by all the different nationalities.
It's one of my favorite things about UAE. It's incredible. You're just exposed to literally every other nationality almost.
That's
you know,
true.
You learn so much, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, that's a good book.
So that book, and
What about? Have you got any regrets that you think that you could share, or no?
Of course.
You're very lucky if you don't.
Look, one of my main regrets, to be honest, is not having trusted myself earlier. Not having believed in myself and what I was capable of earlier, because it's very easy to see it in others and say, oh, this person could do this and that, and at least for me, it's a personality thing. I always thought, again, I had to just like be perfect, know everything. And I was like always putting myself down. No, I just stay here in my path and just keep on doing what I do, and that's it. And had I trusted myself earlier, I have my full life ahead of me. But I wonder what would I've done different, what would I've tried that I missed that opportunity. That you can somehow look them up and find them and try it. But that's one of my
I think that's a lesson in
regrets.
itself, isn't it? You don't really regret the things that you've done. You
Yeah.
regret the things you missed out, or that you were afraid to do, or you stayed in your comfort zone, or even if you do something and it fails,
Yeah.
you don't look back and go, I'm sorry, You very
Yeah.
rarely do,
No.
because you learn from it and all the rest,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. One of the biggest lessons I've learned also working and with people from a completely different background to mine, in hospitality and my team, my staff. I was my let's say my adult life working only with lawyers, right, and
Okay.
exposed to that environment and that a little bit of the same background in that they studied law, etc. And suddenly being exposed to people coming from not only all over the world, but because in Dubai we have it, but having to communicate with them at the restaurant, having to convey to them, because it's not a language barrier, because we all at the end of the day we speak language, right? But having to understand their background and upbringing, it comes to in relation to the airplane and the communication with captain and
Right,
pilot,
right.
etc. How to tell them how the because although they've worked in restaurants, they have experience, etc., to communicate with each other. So if one dish is not ready, this is a very simple example. So if the kitchen is not preparing, or they haven't seen a dish is taking already 15 minutes to come out, to tell them, where is this dish, what's happening, and because sometimes they haven't even seen there's an order for that dish, but the person outside knows, and so the person not wanting to ask twice what's happening with the dish, and so they, after half an hour, they have no idea there's a dish missing, and because the person outside
is afraid to say,
and it has a ripple effect, because the food cannot come to the table at the same time, or it's cold, or it's this, and then obviously customers we are very, very difficult people, and we all have our own standards, and so you see it in a restaurant. Some people are very good and no problem when there's a delay, and we all have different days, right?
Of course.
There's a delay, they're no problem, don't worry, everything. And then other people who, for whatever reason, are very on edge, and they start making a fuss and puts everything and everyone on hold.
Of course.
So,
really stressful. And I'm sure as a restaurant owner, you want your customers to be as happy as possible,
of
right?
course. Otherwise you're not going to work. It's just not going to succeed. And you also want to please absolutely everyone, every single person that comes. You want to please them. You want to give them what they want, treat them right. And it's difficult, because when sometimes they tell you, oh, this wasn't good, this wasn't that, they could be coming from a place where they have other tastes, and perhaps once they tried that and it was different, and they actually liked it for whatever reason, and so they come to your restaurant and they tell you, oh, this, I don't like it, what is this, and you can't avoid taking it personal, saying, but then you want to make things work for everyone, and then so one person wants it spicier, the other one doesn't, and so what do you do? And it's hard.
They're just not your customers. Like, that's that simple, because if they're not enjoying what you have to offer, they're happier somewhere else. Where you will have your own tribe, and people who just absolutely, I mean, I've eaten there, I know the food's amazing, right? So, but you know what I mean? So you can't please everybody all the time.
That's so true.
That's just it, and if you try to, you end up being a little bit mediocre, as opposed to knowing your audience and really performing for them,
And we're going back to believing in yourself and what you're doing and what you're offering. And this is, again, I might not, at the beginning, when I doubted myself about whether I can do this or not, well, one thing I knew, which is my food, how does it look like, how is it properly represented, that thing I knew. So nowadays they come and tell me, these are not enchiladas. I'm like, you're not gonna tell me what enchiladas are. I'm so sorry.
These are not enchiladas.
So I had an expertise. I did have it, and I could not see it. So
Tell me one good story. Tell me about a customer who came to your store or came to the restaurant and absolutely loved it. Have you had?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Apart from me. It's like
saw the best. No, well, this person ate. He came alone, just ate, and I mean, again, you have the interaction they want you to have with them, so you allow people to. And he was just eating, and I couldn't make up from his face what was happening. I didn't know if he was happy or I didn't know what was happening, and so I suddenly just saw this man. He was just doing this, like cleaning his eye.
Oh no!
And I said, I was not understanding, and so I finished, and I approached him, and I said, "Is everything okay? Are you?" He said, "Yeah, no, it just this. I was having this dish, and it reminded me of my mom and my childhood, and it just had that taste, and I just wanted to thank you for it." And I'm like,
oh my God,
that's really
that's
nice.
huge
for experiences like this. Any sacrifice, anything is worth it.
Yeah.
Whatever happens later, it's just worth it.
Yeah.
So,
the food touched the soul. Like
yeah.
It's incredible.
It can really, things like that happen in restaurants, like really little moments that make a big difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
Do you get good then? Like, so you said you're serving food. Do you get good at reading people, or maybe you have some skills from being a lawyer that maybe you were able to bring through? Because as you said, you don't want to be around somebody all the time, and yet you want to be able to give them the service that they need. So how does the...
Absolutely. You can, well, now I've developed observational skills. So I start reading. So even from how they start reading the menu and how they go through it,
Okay.
I can more or less know what kind of customer they are and how picky or not picky, or it comes with practice.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So you get a sense of like who's going to be difficult, or who's easier to please, or who's more
Absolutely.
easygoing.
Yeah.
I'm sure that happens. Like even in the best restaurants in the world, people can be really difficult, and you can't please them. No matter what you do.
Course.
Yeah.
And your staff are your everything, because they are the ones who psychology plays in every role, in absolutely every role. And sometimes, again, it can be hard on the staff. And then you come in and they soften a little bit, and it's a little bit of a game.
It's like a dance.
Oh.
It's a dance.
That's lovely.
It's a dance. It's a dance,
and
it's which fascinates me as well, because we're everything is related to psychology and how we see things, and behavioral science, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, and you could fix someone's day, right? I've gone into restaurants after having a bad day at work or tired or whatever, and you eat something good, and the wait staff are nice, and you're like, do you know what?
Yeah.
It changes your mood, right?
Absolutely.
Or if the wait staff are awful, you're like, why are you mean to me?
Yeah.
Because it's both experiences. Someone like a nice waiters can, or waitress or whatever, they can make you.
All the difference.
Yeah, they really can. Yeah,
all the difference. Yeah, and I sometimes I want to wait everyone's table, because again, this is my baby. I want to share the joy, and I can't. But then I know what difference it can make in people. It's because it's the same experience I would have in a restaurant. And sometimes you just don't want to talk to anyone. You just want my thing, this and that, and it's fine. But those who are open, I love it.
Yeah.
But it requires some work and little sleep.
That's one other thing, actually. So in terms of the hours, so I'm sure before your job was quite demanding, right? Do you find you have, I know you said earlier on you don't have any days off, but in terms of the hour, restaurant hours are unsocial hours sometimes, because you tend to be working all the hours that the people are socializing.
Yeah.
Do you find that a challenge?
Absolutely, in two ways. One, because when I'm at the restaurant, I'm working, I'm attending, I'm doing everything, but there's no time I can actually turn into a computer and deal with suppliers and market, because every time I just go back to my computer, someone's coming in, something's happening, I have to. So the entire time I'm inside the restaurant, I can't progress in anything else. So I leave the restaurant, and then I start doing all the admin that I wasn't able to do. And then when I finish that, I go back to to the legal stuff, the cosmetic cases. So it's and I never thought, to be honest, I could, because normally it was my days were very structured before when I was at the firm. So you start at this time, this is when you have your lunch, then this is the time you're off, and there were very, very long hours. Also, I mean, I didn't have weekends either when I was at the firm. When there's hearings, cases, whatever, there's no weekend either. But the work is just so different, and I never thought I could add on top of that all the layers of work. But you don't know what you're capable of doing, really.
Yeah,
until
that's
you start
true.
doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, until you're in it.
It's just,
That's so true.
so
Yeah, you think that you can't do it, and then somehow you just can.
you,
Then it just happens.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Mercedes, thank you so much for coming here today and being on the LifeLab. It's been absolutely amazing
Yeah.
and so insightful talking to you and hearing all your stories and all the things you've learned along the way. And we really wish you the best with Copala.
An incredible journey.
If
Yeah.
anyone wants to try it, it's in the Onyx Tower. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Authentic, delicious Mexican food.
Yeah.
And good luck with your new business. We'll hope to maybe hear
We'll have you
more
back
about
on
it.
another time.
Oh,
Yeah, you can tell us about that.
Let's wait to see. Let's get it started. But thank you, ladies. This has been just wonderful, and I cannot congratulate you enough for the project, the effort, the energy, what you're bringing to the table. This is a much needed insight into us and the world and humans and women and life as it is, and empowering each other and holding each other's hands and shedding light
That's what it's
We
all
hope
about.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
and creating awareness, and congratulations again.
Thank
What
you.
an honor.
Yeah, you're
Really.
incredible. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.